Hello and welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video. Welcome to the Porsche Taycan and welcome back to the second 10% challenge. This is a challenge where we try to simulate the real road trip distance of a vehicle. On certain videos, of course, we test the charging speed from 0 to full, and then we drive from 100% to 0 at 70 miles an hour to test the full charge range. Both of those things you'll probably never do in the real world. That's more just to benchmark the car's maximum capabilities. This is a test where we show what happens when we get to a charger, charge for 15 minutes, and see how far you can go until you get back down to 10%. That's why it's called the 10% challenge, and this should be a big one. Taycan is known for its road tripping qualifications. I'll tell you about the spec. It's a juicy one. And then we're going to run the 10% challenge in the Porsche Taycan. Perhaps this will be one of the best scores we see ever for a long time. I'm really looking forward to it. This is a 2021 Porsche Taycan with the big battery pack. It is essentially the road tripping spec. It's the rear wheel drive, which means you don't have to carry around the weight of the front motor. It's all just, fully spec'd. The thing with Taycan is it doesn't have that much range on paper. EPA puts this car somewhere around 230-ish miles of range, 235, somewhere around there. I've tested this version of Taycan long range rear wheel drive at 297 point something at 70 miles an hour. So this is truly a road tripping machine on a single charge, far exceeding EPA range. That will shock no one. Anyone who's into electric cars knows that about the Taycan, just blows past its rating. What people may not know about Taycan are its road tripping qualifications. The thing is, this may not have the biggest battery pack. It's mid 80 kilowatt hour usable, maybe 83 to 85 to 87, I forget exactly, but it's a pretty relatively small battery pack, especially when you compare it to 112 kilowatt hours of a Lucid Air or 100 kilowatt hours of a Model S, somewhere around there. It's got a small battery. But what it can do is charge really fast. This thing, for such a small battery, can charge at 270 kilowatts and hold that all the way to 50% state of charge. What that means is 0 to 50% state of charge takes 10 minutes, 0 to 75% state of charge takes 14 minutes if you get all conditions right, and that just makes this thing an insane cruiser. So I've got the car close to 10% state of charge. I preconditioned it to this EVgo 350 kilowatt unit. We have a very gentle wind coming out here, a little bit more than I would like, but thankfully it's going to be just a tailwind mixed with a headwind. We're at 11% state of charge right now, so let's crank up the temperature. I've tested this a couple times with arriving to chargers at 10%, and the Taycan likes 100 degrees Fahrenheit average temperature. The thing with Taycan is if you arrive very low, if we got here at 2 or 3%, it would probably cool us down to 94 or 95 degrees. If we got here at 70%, it may have us all the way up at 110 or 120 degrees Fahrenheit on plug-in, and it really optimizes your charger. It's preconditioning based off of the charging speed, really good logic, and your arrival state of charge. If you're using trip planning, it will actually optimize the temperature based off of how deep you need to charge there as well. So if you're doing quick top-ups, it may not waste the energy to cool you down, just charge you up enough and then you hop from charger to charger. Porsche really nailed the route planning here in this car and the preconditioning logic. It's just built for it. What we're going to be doing in terms of our route today is we're basically going to be going on E470. This is the toll road around Denver. So we're literally right off the highway. It's right there. We're going to jump on, go down and exit, and then cruise at 80 miles an hour on this road. Now, while we're waiting just the last few seconds for this car to tip down to 10%, I think one thing is to make these tests a little bit more consistent, we should plug them in as soon as they drop from 11 to 10, and then we log the range as soon as it drops from 11 to 10 while we're driving, and that's how far we've gone. The Tesla Model Y is the only vehicle we've run in this test before. Another great score, and it got 98 miles. We'll eventually have a spreadsheet to list everything out. But just to walk you through the testing procedures again, and I thank you so much for the feedback on the previous video, on the Model Y video. Curious to see what you guys think about the numbers. And everyone, everyone wants their own little thing. I plug in at 14% and charge for 24 minutes or whatever it is. But I think this is a really good way to benchmark the road tripping ability capability of the cars, of the electric cars. And so arriving at 10% is a bit higher than I would go. I know some of you said the same thing. You're like, I get there at 2%, you're pulling out a spec style. I get it, but 10% seems reasonable for the average person to not freak out like they're getting low. And 15 minutes feels pretty good for sitting at a charging station. I really don't think anyone wants to sit there longer. And guess what? You'll just drive farther. So some people have families or reasons why they like to charge for longer, and you certainly can. This is just a great way to benchmark cars. So Taycan just dropped down to 10% now. Let's plug it in here to this EVgo 350 kilowatt unit, and we should see big charging speeds right off the bat, probably 250, 240, 250, and then it'll walk its way up to 270 as we get closer to 50% state of charge. Okay, and contactors just clicked and we are starting to charge. One thing you guys asked me to do was actually keep an eye on how long the handshake times take, and that's always going to be different on every unit and everything like that. Already up to 11%, and that is expected because we plugged in just on the tail end. 250 kilowatts almost right off the bat. Love to see it. But the handshake time was brutal. It was actually 47 seconds. And actually it took longer than that, to be honest, because I couldn't even get my phone app to connect to EVgo because the cell network around here is pretty bad. So EVgo still doesn't support ISO 15118 plug-in charge portion, I don't believe, or maybe they're just about to, or they're just rolling it out, but Taycan doesn't auto charge, which is a little bit of a shame. But anyway, we are plugged in. We're going to charge for 15 minutes on the nose from the point the contactors click and the car starts charging till we end the session. And this charger's ready to rip. This car's ready to rip. I guess while we're just starting to charge, let me tell you a little bit about this particular spec Taycan. And maybe even before I do that, I'll tell you that I shut the Taycan off. You see, when you drive a Taycan, there's a few different settings and there's lots of different ways to optimize the car. I know Taycan really well. And actually, when you shut it completely off and you plug it into a DC fast charger, it goes full cooling fans and rips, and it's awesome. Or if you happen to have one with Sport Chrono package, you can put into Sport Plus. It will also do that same massive cooling profile. Unfortunately, this car does not have Sport Plus. It doesn't have the thing on the wheel. This is just a long-range rear-wheel drive version. And, you know, it was an option that it's just not ticked on this car to have Sport Plus. So it's not... yeah, I just shut it off, and that'll let the cooling systems go into its DC fast charging profile. Almost to 260 kilowatts now, and it'll get up to 270 as we get a little bit more. This thing rips. It's crazy. 800 volt system architecture. We're at about 755 charging volts right now, which means its nominal is a little bit lower, probably at 50% state of charge, maybe around here. But let's talk about this particular spec. Things working for us. Well, we don't have the power charge port door, and that's always good for efficiency. When you have the power charge port door here, you can see this car is a double charge port. It's locked because we're charging on the other one. You actually get this little air scarf that can go through. It relieves high pressure in the wheel well area. When you get the power charge port, the electric motor is in here, and it means you don't get this air relief area here. So that's working for us. We have a relatively fresh car, only about 10,000 miles on this particular one, so that's going to be great. We also have things working against us, and that would be these wheels. These are the largest wheels you can get on the Taycan, 21 inches. However, they're a little bit aero optimized and aero shaped, so I think that's going to be a good thing here. And yeah, what a spec. Neptune blue on limestone. Looks great. This is Anna's car. We drove it across the country, and it's just a rocket ship. It's such a cruiser, big charging speeds, big distance, and that's the beauty of Taycan. So while it's doing this, charging at 260 kilowatts, absolutely ripping. Let me run inside, tell you what I'm expecting to see here with the Taycan, and then we'll head out and do our drive after 15 minutes. So as I mentioned, I have a long history with Taycan. I've done so much with this car. My friends and I set the Cannonball record a while ago, not because of its range, not because of the battery pack, but all because of its charging and its shape. It's actually seemingly, it's not true, but it gets more efficient the faster you drive it. Taycan is just a magical car that's, I think, a little bit underrated. Maybe around now, people are starting to realize how capable these things are. It's not all perfect. The software is still pretty buggy. Like Porsche still has a lot to optimize here for the next gen version. But we're just sitting at 265 kilowatt charging at 37% right now. We've only been plugged in for 5 minutes. It just absolutely sends it. It's just incredible. So for me, this is the car I love, because you guys know I love to hop from charger to charger, do those 10-minute top-ups, and this just works perfectly. In fact, even if we put the Taycan into battery saving mode, which actually limits you down to a still pretty fast 200 kilowatt fast charging, it's like battery friendly quick charging menu, which is what we typically keep this car in, because Anna's gonna have it for a very long time. Even then, our charging stops are still like less than 15 minutes and we're good to go. Pretty incredible stuff. So anyway, we're gonna continue to let this charge up. I'm expecting hopefully 100 miles is what I'm thinking, maybe even a little bit more. It should be, I don't know how its efficiency will be compared to Model Y. We'll reset the trip counters and everything as we pull out. Thankfully, Climate's running in the background. I have it preconditioning technically with the car off and Climate running. Just wanted to make sure it's on. It is. We're good. And all's looking great. Let's just keep an update on our charging here. You can see our cabin cooling's on. We just dropped to 241 kilowatts from higher speeds. So we just saw a peak of 268, I believe, on this session. It just dropped down. And look at that, 30 kilowatt hours in 7 minutes. Just insane. So we still have halfway through our charging session or so. We still got plenty of time left. And I have a feeling it's going to be a pretty long drive. Conditions are nearly perfect. It's high 70-degree temperature, very minimal wind. Yeah, this is what we're looking for here. This is great. You can see right on cue at 50% or so, we really limit. We come off of, we do 270 to high 40% range. And then from 50%, we're down in the 230s, 220s, but still just a beefy, fat charging curve. This thing rips to about 75, 78% state of charge. And then the top charging's pretty slow to preserve the battery is my guess. But yeah, this thing, I can't say enough good things about Taycan. You know how I feel about it. I think my only real issue with the car is when it comes to price for performance. No question Taycan can rip if you spec a Turbo S. They're really fast. They're crazy. Even the Turbo is fast. But you got to spend up for that performance. And so the only thing you can really knock the car on, in my opinion, is its value. But perceived value is what the customer wants. Some people, I think it's kind of cool that the Taycan's expensive and exclusive. And then if you want to get just a more of a mundane, normal one, you can. And this car, again, Anna paid, I think, just roughly $78,000, $79,000, or $80,000. I can't remember exactly, but somewhere around 80 grand for this car. And it looks identical to a Turbo S. So for her, she was happy. She doesn't need the performance or the speed. She's got the big battery for road trips. And she uses this car as, another way of Taycan, which is for the long distance ability of the car. But some people want all the long distance and all the speed. I'm one of those people. And my perfect spec Taycan is pushing $200,000. Meanwhile, on paper, my Model S Plaid is faster in a straight line and has better driver assistance and all that stuff. And I paid significantly less for that than $200,000. So, that's the only thing I can really knock it on. But hey, people buy them. They don't sit on lots very long. And I actually think they're worth the money. If you got the money, this is what you're driving. So, yep, still juicing up. For those of you wondering, we're just at 150 kilowatts now at 71%. So really fat charging curve, a lot of area under the curve in this thing. Unbelievable. We're talking 50 kilowatt hours in under 15 minutes, under 14 minutes even. Pretty impressive. So, like a Model 3 LFP is only like, high 50 kilowatt hour usable? That'd be almost 0 to full in 15 minutes at this rate. That's pretty crazy. Just a few seconds left to go right here until we complete. I got my finger on the power button right now. 58, 59. The timer on my phone went at the exact same moment that the EV charger hit 15 minutes. So they were totally in sync. This LED light means we can remove the charging handle. There we go. I think these cables here just need to be reworked a little bit. The handles are really tough to get in, and this is not set nearly far enough back, so you can't get full extension of the cable. But let's go here, close this up. Let's get the car set from a trip computer perspective and waste no time. Get on the road and see how it does. We added 53.1 kilowatt hours, 15 minutes of charging. Ended at 74% state of charge, according to the charger. Let's jump in here. As soon as I shut the door, the Taycan should boot up. There we go. Climate control, I'm going to turn off the function that's going to keep the air on. Actually, it looks like the blue just went white, so we are back to off. Battery temperature in the red almost. Very typical for Taycan, and then cools off and preconditions for the next charging session. So let's get on the road. In typical format, I'll try and go about halfway. Then we'll plug the charger back in, and we always run preconditioning back to the charger. Some people don't like that. Some people do. I don't know. I think it's probably realistic because you're going to be hopping charger to charger. So before we set off, we need to go over here to trip. We need to, that's our total trip. We need to, let's see, go to synths, and we're going to reset synths. Boom. So there we go. Into reverse, auto on not 80, but on 68. We're going to run, again, normal road tripping settings, which is typically I drive the car on a road trip in range mode. So we're going to go range, AC set to eco, 68 to 70, somewhere around there. Feels good. Let's jump on the highway and do this thing. We're going to cruise at 80 miles an hour constant. Highway entrance is, what's the fastest way to get there? I think we go out here left and left. And here we go, emerging onto the highway now. We're going to just drive kind of normally, get up to 80 miles an hour. We're just about to jump on the tollway here, which should be wide open. That is Denver's racetrack. And our speed limits are really high around here, so that is a good thing as well. Yep, let's start inching our way up to speed as these people get out of our way, up to 80 miles an hour. Man, it's so quiet, so smooth, so effortless in this car. We do have active lane centering. We added this function right here, and so it does great lane centering for highway driving. It's not autopilot level or anything like that, but just stays right in the middle of the lane, and you know, it does what it needs to do. Just a great road tripping car. So let's blast on over. This is our exit right here. And whoops, gotta go 80, not 79, Porsche. We'll hammer this corner and I'll update you throughout the drive. Oh yes, we are cruising along. I did actually check 81 indicated is 80 GPS according to my devices. And this is what we're talking about. Empty roadways, just absolutely cruising gently. And gonna crank up the tunes. We got the air conditioning going great. Yep, enjoying the Taycan as always. One of the best seating positions, best driver cockpit views. You know, I'll stop gushing. I just think they really nailed this car. And even years after launch, others are having such a hard time to beat this car in tests and comparisons because Porsche just freaking killed it when it came to the charging. And so many EVs forget that charging is very important. And you know what's crazy is even the high mileage Taycans seem to be holding up very well. Very little degradation as far as I'm seeing. That's pretty impressive. Cruising along here. Looks like we got a runaway truck, unfortunately. That is scary. I can't even film it properly, but we got a big diesel running away right there. Looks like it might be just at the start of it. Oh, maybe we'll see that on the way back. Looking way worse. That is scary. It's basically when diesel engines eat themselves because you can cut off the fuel supply, but the oil keeps it running. And they just go full speed, full revs, and yeah, grenade. It's wild. Look up videos of trains running away. It's just crazy. Uh-oh, the police. Not getting us, getting someone else, it looks like. The test continues. Good stuff. No change in speed. Love to see it. We have just absolutely insane views here on our test today. It's going great. All conditions are looking good. I've put it in a place just next to the charger, and we'll wait till it gets down to about a 10% arrival on the return. The numbers are looking like this is going to be a pretty big score here. As soon as we turn around, I'll actually put in the charger so the Taycan can precondition. Let's take a look over at, oops, on this side, information. Our battery pack is down to 92 degrees, so it's actually going to warm itself up for the charging session. It cooled itself down very quickly, even though it's relatively warm outside, and it's, yeah, that's interesting. So Taycan just loves to sit around, you know, 87 to 92 under normal driving, and we should see that same 100-degree Fahrenheit target temperature upon arrival, and that's typically how I run these tests with preconditioning, only because that's what I would do on a road trip. You just want the fastest charging over and over. Someone just walking down the highway. Okay. But I'll update you when we get to our turnaround point. By the way, Taycan auto steering, doing all of this, just cruising. Awesome stuff. We are just getting to our exit now. I've just kicked it off cruise control. We are exiting at University Boulevard. Gonna make a left and go back the way we started. I think we're turning around a little bit early, but traffic was picking up over here on this side of the city, so I'd much rather just loop back. We'll put in the charger, get everything preconditioning after we get settled on the road and the other way, and that'll be great. Looking forward to seeing how it does on the return. Lots of regen here. The sun is now almost officially set, and we still have a ways to go. We're at 83 miles in, and it's still showing a 30% arrival back to the charging station now. So we have an additional 20% to burn. No question, this is going to go way farther than the Model Y that we just tested. It's definitely setting the new benchmark. And man, I really can't wait to run a Lucid, EQS, Model S, all of these in this test. If anyone knows anyone with a Model S long range on arrows, let me know, because my Plaid, it's on big fat wheels and tires, and it would not really be fair to Model S if I ran that car. I think I still will, but it's not a fair comparison. So need the longest range Model S here in Colorado. Also need to clean the screens here, the lenses. Well, we have run till the highway ends, and so we gotta go to the stoplight right up here, make a U-turn, and go back and do it again. We've run the full 470 loop now. Battery temperature is up to 109. My guess is we're gonna see it at about 100 when we plug in. That's what it targets for 10%. And so we definitely left a little bit of energy on the table for this early preconditioning. I haven't really sorted this preconditioning logic out. I know the Taycan really well. I'm talking about the test. Like, what's the most fair way of doing it? Certainly needs to include preconditioning because, you know, you would precondition the next charger on a trip. It's just because I'm moving back and forth between exits, it's hard to get the car to understand that's where I need it to go. Most cars also don't have the crazy preconditioning logic that Taycan does. So, I don't know, maybe it's not that big of a deal, but yeah, we still got some distance to go, another 9% left to burn. Well, a lot more than that. We're at like 30%, something like that. No, we're at 22%. What am I thinking? We're at 22%. We still got more to burn. So, man, this thing is just crushing it. I did not expect it to go this far. Holy smokes. Taycan is the jam. Well, this is just working out perfect. As predicted, you can see we're at 100 degrees Fahrenheit average battery temperature with a 10% arrival. Oh, actually, it just dropped down to 9% arrival on the charger, and that's totally fine because technically I want to keep doing 80. Well, it says I have it set to 81. Why are we going 80? Just need a little push. There we go. Yep, technically I want to hit that charging station at, you know, I want to, basically what I'm trying to say. What am I trying to say? It's nighttime. I've been doing way too much testing. What I'm saying is I'd like to hit from 11 to 10% state of charge while we're still cruising. And we'll be just, you know, right around the charging station when we do that. So it's almost a full loop as we designed the test. So that's pretty perfect. And there we go. We are now at 10% state of charge. What's the distance? What's the distance? Whoa, 139.9. I think we'll call it 140 because some cars don't show the decimal point. But wow, 140 miles right when we hit 10% state of charge. Super impressive result here with the Taycan. I'm going to bring us back over to the charging station. It's so funny. This lady won't shut up. And also, everyone just drives 80 miles an hour, so I'm glad we picked that test. But it also means it takes like 10 minutes to pass cars, which is really annoying. Anyway, we're very close to the charging station. Let's run over there. We're only, you know, it's literally right there, so that's almost a full loop. And we'll debrief and get the final results there. Pretty freaking awesome. 42 miles farther than the Model Y in the same test. Now, I know they're not comparable cars, different price points. It's just the only other car I've run in this test. And it really shows that although the Model Y has almost 100 more miles of rated range than this car, well, let's call it 80 more miles, that on a road trip, the Taycan's really going to demolish it. Pretty impressive. I'm so glad we're doing this 10% challenge. And we should have activated the charger, and I think it's just booting up over here. This is the actual charger for the one we're using. This is the dispenser here. The cell service is so bad, it took me like a good 3 minutes just to play around with my cell phone service. I mean, I got full bars of LTE, but this is a problem in Colorado where we get full service, but just garbage data. So I don't even know if it activated the charger or not because it's still stuck on the screen. I guess I should go back to my app and try again. I wish I could find my EVgo card and just tap. It'd be so much easier. Okay, and finally we have made progress. The Taycan does support plug and charge on Electrify America, and it does come with free charging, and that actually works pretty well. Only a couple of times did I have plug and charge fail on me recently. That seems to be getting a little bit more solid, but at least on the EVgo network I can't use ISO 15118 plug and charge like I was saying at the beginning of this video, and no MAC address activation because of Taycan just not supporting that type of activation method, which I don't necessarily disagree with. I like MAC address activation. I'm not too concerned about someone spoofing my address, and EVgo has some security measures in place where I don't think it's that big of a deal. But look at this, we're still connecting. Come on, let's start charging. What the heck? Tesla's 6 seconds. I know there's a lot of communication going on here, but holy smokes, I've been standing out here for 2.5 minutes trying to get this thing to start charging between cell networks. There we go, green. Between cell networks and others. Now I've put the Taycan into battery friendly quick charging just because I was going to sit here and edit some videos and I was not in a rush to get it to charge, but even then it charges so fast. But it has a peak of about 200 kilowatts when it's in battery friendly charging. And you'll see that here, instead of doing 240 kilowatts like we were doing before, we're doing, again, just under 200. So very cool to see, very good stuff. Let's end the video with the final results like I mentioned, and I'll share to you what I think might be able to compete with this, because this is what this car excels in. It's crazy to think how many years it's been since Taycan has launched, and there's really no changes. This is pretty much identical to what the early cars would do, and it just freaking kills the road tripping game. Now, for many people who don't road trip, there's so many other reasons why they're interested in Taycan. For me, I love the driving dynamics and I love the freaking charging. That to me is just mega. What I really can't wait to do is run some of this car's competitors in this test, and some of even the brand new ones like i7 and EQS, cars that launched years after the Taycan. This sets the benchmark. It should be able to match those things. Again, with home charging, doesn't really matter, but the 10% challenge isn't for the people who charge at home. It's for the people like us out there road tripping, pushing the cars, pushing the infrastructure, and seeing what's going on. So there you go. That's Taycan in ideal conditions, but it is on the biggest wheels. So I'd love to get one on Arrows one day. I bet it'll make a few percent difference, maybe even 150 plus miles after 15 minutes of charging at 80 miles an hour. That would be pretty impressive to see. I think that's like cream of the crop. If you can do more than 150, you're just like game over. That's insane. So I'm excited to watch this test unfold. This technology increases. Let me know if you want me to run my old Nissan Leaf in this test. I think it could be quite interesting. But there you have it. The Taycan in the 10% challenge. We'll see you all in another one soon. The Porsche engineers just killing it always with this car. See you guys later. Bye-bye.